Hey everybody, welcome. Ah, tonight is Serene Sunday, huh? How about that? Let's paste a comment so this way you can see what we're talking about tonight. And there we go. In this comment. How's everybody doing? Right? How was your week? All right, we're ready for a whole new week. For most of us that have off on the weekends, Monday is that day, but we all have that Sunday, right? We all have that day that is our Sunday, right? So it doesn't really matter what your day is. It just matters that you have that day where you're like, oh wow, tomorrow's the grind again, and you got to go back to doing the things that help shape the place in which you live, help shape make that happen. And our work is really the heartbeat of America, right? What we do, it makes America what it is. It makes America great again. And so I guess tonight I want to talk to you about, a little bit about what the opposite of dubiety is, right? What the opposite of dubiety is. And so when we are doubtful, I think when we are doubtful, I think for many it puts us in a state of uncertainty. And that uncertainty, if we continue to live in that, there's not much hope that we have, right? That if we live in this constant place of uncertainty, then there is no hope, because there's nothing certain in our lives. Now, generally we know that nothing is certain, right? Generally we know that there are things in our lives that are not written in stone, if you will. But I also believe that if we have faith in the God or gods of our understanding, if we have the faith in that, and we place faith in that, then I truly believe that we are living in a more certain world and closer to cosmos rather than chaos. I got my Druid mug back. I lost it for so long. So make sure you get your hot cup of coffee. As you can see, I got my coffee in here. I don't know if you can see that. I don't want to dump it on myself, so nothing like a great cup of coffee after dinner. So my name is Druid Naklas Deklan. I am the founder of the Druid Circle, founder of the Druid Order of Blessed Stone and Wood, and founder of Druid University, along with Druid Living, a conservative pagan media outlet. Not neo-pagan. So when we talk tonight about dubiety, we have to talk about what its opposite is. And one thing we know about the Druids, and we must know this about the Druids, we must know this. Any academic paper, any journal article, anything written about the Druids, no matter what it is, I have at least, I'd say, let me see, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90... I'm looking at about 100 books specifically written about the Druids, right? Specifically written about the Druids. Not like a book on the Celts and Druids. No, just specifically on Druids. In almost all of those books, okay, some written in the 1600s, some written in the 1700s, more written in the 18, and most written in the 1900s, I would say that all of those books point to at least one dimension of the Druids. And that dimension of the Druids was the opposite of dubiety. The opposite of dubiety is piety. The opposite of dubiety is piety. Now, when we think about the word piety, we think about people who may be pious, right? And that really drives sort of a wrench into the cogs. It's like it grinds our gears when we hear people who are pious, right? Because what we think about when we think about people who are pious, we think about people who are those who are on high and lofty and those who are above us, right? Those arch druids, those high people, right? That make us feel like we're less, that make us feel like we're not enough, right? I want you to take that concept of piety or people who are pious, and I want you to shove it right out the window. Throw it right out the window right now. The reason is because that's not piety. That's hypocritical behavior. They're hypocrites. Okay? Throw it out. Piety does not mean that. Not at all. In no way, no shape, no form. Slancha. So, when we speak about piety and we speak about what its opposite is, which is dubiety, then we begin to see a clearer picture of what these terms are beginning to mean. So that if dubiety, if the opposite of dubiety is piety, then in no way does it mean what we thought it meant. It means something quite different. So I thought about this week, and I thought about defining what I could use from etymology to put into a definition, and to ensure that we are on the right track with what we're about to talk about tonight. So what I wrote was this. I wrote that piety is the state of being satisfied, in being joyful by living in a state of reverence towards the God or gods of our understanding. And listen to what I wrote again. Piety is the state of being satisfied, in being joyful by living in a state of reverence towards the God or gods of our understanding. One more time. Piety is the state of being satisfied, fully satisfied, comfortable, fulfilled, right? In being joyful by living in a state of reverence toward the God or gods of our understanding. Whereas dubiety, right? Dubiety is the state of, what I wrote is, the state of being satisfied in being doubtful, okay, and living in a state of uncertainty toward the God or gods of our understanding. Meaning that if we are satisfied being doubtful in that state of uncertainty toward the God or gods of our understanding, then we are miserable. So, the debate is ongoing. This is an ongoing debate with theologians. And when I say theologians, I don't just mean theologians in monotheistic terms. I also mean theologians in polytheistic terms, right? Doctors of who have doctorates in their divinity. And so the thing is that, do we as a people believe that those who are dubious, do we believe that those who are dubious are actually happy, living a dubious life, versus living a pious life, I don't necessarily believe that in that great debate of whether or not we are born knowing, born in tune with the infinite, born knowing that there was a creator that made us, an all-father, right? In some cases, an all-mother. In some cases, both. But that, are we living the life of those who want to live that way, who want to live in a joyful life, a happy life, a life knowing that there is something beyond us? There is no doubt that the Druids were demonstrators. They were the demonstratives of intercessory power between God and man. There is no debate that will say otherwise. No debate, unless you're a neo-pagan who believes in this mishmashy kind of wishy-washy, wibbly-wobbly stuff. The Druid who wishes to practice Druidism in times of old must believe that they are between God and man, and that is their purpose. Does that make them better than you? Does that make them higher than you? Absolutely not. Could you yourself be the mediator between your own deity and yourself? Absolutely. But sometimes it's better to have an objective look, an objective view, to have someone else help you see more clearly, because sometimes we are so focused on that laser vantage point, whereas nothing else exists beyond what we see or beyond what we think we see. You know what you know what you don't know, you don't know what you don't know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. And someone else has to help you with those answers. So if we think about piety in a sense of living a joyful life with our gods, with our God, then and only then will we be satisfied. But there are individuals out there who are absolutely happy not knowing if there is anything beyond. And if you want to take it one step further than Dubiety, you could actually use atheism as an example for those individuals who do not believe in deity, do not believe in God or gods, and believe that when they die, they hit the sand, and they hit the earth, they hit the dust, and that's it. And they're comfortable with that. But there's something miserable about that when I see these people. A lot of people say, well, they're soulless because they have no connection to anything beyond. And I say, I don't necessarily know if they're soulless. I mean, sometimes I'll say, oh, they're soulless, meaning without a soul. But I don't necessarily believe that, because if I believe in deity, if I believe in God, if I believe in the gods, then I must believe that they exist no matter what the belief of the individual person is. Right? Just a thought. So, how do we get from that point of that doubt, of living a life of not knowing, of living a life of uncertainty, of living a life of saying, I don't know what's going to come next. Well, we could always go back to what I stated earlier and fought with Ian Corrigan about from ADF, that I truly believed that the philosophy of the Druid is that it all works out. It might not always work out, but it all works out. And that knowing this, knowing that it all works out, is the philosophy of the Druids, because they believed in deity, they believed in the gods. They believed in that. They believed in God. I would definitely say that in knowing that, it is almost certain that they were a pious people. If we take a step into understanding the power of the philosophy of the Druids, the philosophy that says Bet Shegobra, the 4 simple words, Bet Shegobra, it all works out. Closest, loosest translation. Then I would say that they were steadfast in their belief. And when you are steadfast, when you are adamant about what you believe, when you are adamant knowing that there is that which exists that is above and beyond you, then we could say for certain that your belief is worthy of piety. And you could certainly conclude knowing that you are a pious person, just believing. Because if you truly believe, and many times we could say, oh, God exists. Many times we could say, oh, the gods exist. Many times we can say for certain that deity is there. But do we really, truly understand what that means? And I think that if we even go so far as to understanding that and to believing that, and to knowing that you could live a very joyful life, knowing that, because that is the truth. And a lot of people say, well, how can you prove that God exists? Well, how can you prove that God doesn't? With the exception of it's an invisible. It's believing in something that's magical thinking. It's believing that something that you made up in your head is there. Well, then you certainly would have to know then that there are so many things that exist that you can't see, but we know exist. One, I could give I could give a dissertation. I could talk for hours and hours and hours on proving the existence of the gods, on proving the existence of God, and on proving the existence of the beyond. No doubt. No doubt. Matters of the heart, for example. Matters of the heart. Love. Love. Right? You know, it's just something that you can't see, but does exist. Just because you can't see it doesn't make it exist or not exist. Just because you can't see it or see it, that doesn't prove its existence. Does when you light a match onto a wick, is that flame alive? It eats, it drinks, it breathes air. Does it have a mind of its own? It knows how to react to different oxygen levels, right? So it is knowing. So I think that when we talk and really begin to examine this wonderful idea of being pious, then we are moving closer and closer, deeper and deeper into the world of Druidism. So how can we become more pious and less dubious? How do we go from dubiety to piety? How do we move from that level of uncertainty to the level of certainty? So I thought about this again, and I said, well, let me think about, sometimes I like to just make up a number. 5. I'll make 4 points or 5 points. This week I just made 5 points on things that could help you get closer and closer to a certain world, to a world in which you feel secure in knowing that there is certainty and not uncertainty, that there is piety and not dubiety, and that you yourself can be more pious through these 5 steps, and that you can live a joyful life, not a doubtful one. Let's begin. Number 1. Remember your unexplainable past. Remember your unexplainable past. This happens to be one of the most powerful ways you can trace the gods. You can trace back to the Creator. You can come closer to that point in which the most miraculous occurrence and event took place in your life, which was birth. Remember your unexplainable past. Remember your unexplainable past. To test this, ask yourself, how did it happen? How did it happen? How did those things in your life, mostly too, and I would say, and I'm going to challenge you on this, how many near-death experiences you have? How many near-death experiences did you have that you were able to escape that fate? My life, I probably almost died at least like 20 times throughout my life. No joke. There are times where I say, I don't even know how I escaped this. I don't even know how I surpassed this. I have no clue how I went from almost death, almost meeting my Creator, almost meeting All-Father, and saying, I'm ready to meet my ancestors. I'm ready to see the metaphysicals. I'm ready to see the gods. How many times? And this, my brothers and sisters, is the key to having a successful, joyful life being pious. Remembering your unexplainable past. Number 2, think about your use of words. How do you normally speak in a day? Do you talk about others? Do you gossip? Do you wish other people harm? Are you a negative person? Are you a person who is completely unhappy with your life, so much so that you gave up on the gods? So much so that you said, no, they don't exist? So much so that you said it is time to challenge them? Or do you live a life speaking well about others? Do you live a life talking goodness? Do you have many words in your vocabulary, or the majority of the words in your vocabulary that are more, I would say, on the positive side than on the negative one? Because if you, as a person, are living in that negativity, that gossipy, that very that angriness that overcomes you and eats you from the inside out, so much so that you begin to forget who you used to be, who you really are, who you were. And then what? Then know and cling on to that enemy within you. Look, we all have it. Every one of us. I talk about people. I do. How many times do I talk about the radical, the leftists? How many times do I do that? You know, I do it, but it's easy. Do I mean them harm? Absolutely not. I don't mean them harm, though. I would never. You know, that's one of the other things too is taking it to a certain end, right? It's funny because no matter what I think, it doesn't matter who you are. What matters is the idea of genuinely caring about other people. If, for example, a well-known, we're talking about atheism, we're talking about Dubiety today, if a well-known atheist was tripped and a car was coming in the street, and they tripped in the street and a car was coming, right, to hit them, I would grab them and lift them up and get them out of the street. More importantly, I would even go so far as to risking my life for theirs. Not because they were an atheist, but because they were a human being. Does it mean that I've changed my mind on atheism? No. Atheism is a terrible drug, and atheism is the enemy of Druidism. But if you can eliminate those negative thoughts, you're moving closer, even closer now. 2 steps closer. 1, remembering your unexplainable past, and 2, getting those negative thoughts away from you and replacing them with more positive thoughts. Because positivity is certainty, negativity is uncertainty. Positivity is piety, and that negativity is that dubiety. Number 3, spend more time with people you feel are confident. This is a big one. This is a really, really big one. In choosing friends. In fact, I said it for Swing Saturday, and I know a lot of people laughed at me, and whatever the case was, I wrote a spell up there on how to really engage in someone, and I said, ask someone that you're trying to meet for the first time, if it's a first date or if it's just a friendship, you're meeting a new person as a friend, you want to have that discussion, and ask them, how, do you think you could survive a zombie apocalypse? And if they say, and I wrote, and I said, if they say yes, if they say no, then know that in that relationship, know that you're going to be the one to lead. If they say yes, then you're going to be the one to learn from them. And more importantly, though, if they say, for how long? Then I said, get ready to have great adventures with them. Not meaning in the zombie apocalypse, but meaning in the relationship. Go back, go look. It's on Saturday. It's our Saturday post this past week. And if you're looking, what I could do is I'll put it up. I think I might be able to post it in the remarks. But this is again what I feel is tremendously important, to begin to surround yourself with people who are certain, people who have a grasp on life, because you want to aspire to that. If you are dubious in your life, if you have much doubt in your life. Number 4, identify your values or those things you believe to be important. Start to identify what you believe in to be true. Because what is important to you is true to you. Listen to that again. What is important to you is true to you. For me, being, and I tell people all the time, let no one tell you who your God or gods are. Let no one tell you that. That's between you and you. No matter what. Whether or not you... sorry, guys. My alarm just went off. Whether or not whether or not you're joining a religious order, which for us it's druidorder.org. But, no one has the right to tell you that. So you must begin to identify your values. Your values are that which are important to you. And what's important to you is true to you. And what is true to you are the gods. And as a hard polytheist, which means that not only do I not only believe in many gods, many deities, I believe in every deity as a deity. Right? Now, this is not me trying to compel you to or trying get you to believe this. I'm just saying what I believe in. I mean, it doesn't, what I believe in doesn't matter. What you believe in matters, right? But I just believe that, you know, there's not a one-all, be-all. That to me, there is an all-Father. I do believe that. There is that. I get that. But on a general platform, I believe that every deity that you thought up or that has been thought up exists. And it's difficult because sometimes, you know, it's like, you know, being a hard polytheist, I mean, a super hard polytheist, a person that believes in all, like a lot of people say, well, yeah, but Odin could be Adonis, could be Adonai, whereas I would say that Odin is Odin, Adonis is Adonis, and Adonai is Adonai. I hold on to that to be true. That's my truth. That's my certainty. You know? But that doesn't mean that you have to believe that. It just means that's what I believe. As an example. And you need to believe what you believe in to be true. Who are your deities? And from those deities, what are your values as a conservative? Number 5. Think about your future accomplishments. See the most impossible ones achieved by having a relationship with them. I want you, this is the hardest one, I think, out of all of them. You know, remembering your unexplainable, I guess, your unexplainable life, your unexplainable past, and getting rid of those like negative thoughts, and you know, spending more time with people who you feel are more confident, and then also establishing your values, establishing what you believe to be true. And finally, last but not least, think about your future accomplishments. If you do not think of your situation right now to become better in the future, if you do not think of your present situation, whatever it is, to be a better situation in the future, then you will remain dubious, you will remain uncertain, and you will remain miserable. You must see your situation as one that is only getting better. Only getting better. If you do not see that, you fail miserably. How do you do that? How do you get yourself, to force yourself to believe in you, to believe in the gods, to believe in the relationship that you have together, to understand all of this and say, it will be better. Betche go bra. It all works out. It doesn't always work out. It all works out. Doesn't always work out. Meaning that in every situation, it won't always work out. Then we'd be living in absolute cosmos, and living in absolute cosmos would be absolute miserable, be absolute misery. We want to be able to say that we can work up to something, because what do these 5 points do? They circle back. Because once I see my future, then I go right back to number 1 that I taught you. How awesome is this? Which is, remember your unexplainable past. How beautiful is that? Like, how cool is that, right? That we just took those 5 awesome points and we circled back with them, and we made them awesome. Isn't this is like so awesome, guys? This is like awesome stuff. All right, now for your for Riedel, which is the Druidic mantra, the for Riedel, and that is as follows. Remember, the for Riedel is 4 parts. It's the de ru ovi. Okay, the Druid. Okay, so that there's the 4 parts of what Druid means, the de ru uvi. And what's that saying? It's saying that when we don't have mantras like I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be rich. When I talk about seeing your future as a better position, see your situation as a better situation. But also see the steps that got you to that situation. Here it is. Number 1, no being. No being. This is Druid. Okay? Druid. Number 1, no being. 2, in this world or the other world. 3, is rooting for me. 4, to fail. No being in this world or other world is rooting for me to fail. No being in this world or the other world is rooting for me to fail. Now, well, you say, wait, what about, especially if you're a Christian, what about Satan? What about Balor, right? I could go on with all the other deities that would seemingly would want you to fail, right? One thing about Druidism that is slightly different in some monotheistic religions is that there is a belief that the antithesis of the good God, we all know who the good God is, right? Andagda, right? That there's an opposite God, right? And even in Genesis, it talks about that there is an opposite God, and it uses Satan as that God, right? So that there's an opposite God, and that God wants you to fail, wants you to collapse, right? Wants you to die. And I say this, no. Because if that were the case, that this lesser deity wants you to fail, wants you to collapse, wants you to be miserable, then they wouldn't be able to use you as a tool anymore against this up here. So whether it's many or one, good God, good gods, bad God, bad gods, then they don't want you there. They want you. They just want you to be as far away from this as they can. And what are we really talking about? The cosmos, right? The cosmotic gods, the chaotic gods. And I don't even like to say that because I truly have a love for the chaotic gods. And a lot of people say, oh, you love Satan? Not in that way. It's a different kind of love. It's more of a regard, knowing that this antithesis keeps you on track, if you will. I mean, look at the story. If you doubt me, look at the story of Job as a Christian. If you doubt me, it's right all there. God and the devil have a conversation, and the devil goes up to God and says, "Hey, God, how you doing today?" And God says, "Hey, what's going on, Satan? How you doing?" Showing a clear relationship that these two are talking. What's going on today? Let's go out for a coffee. Hold on, let me get a sip. And they go out, have a cup of coffee, and just discuss this dude named Job. There are so many stories like that, whether it's in the Norse tradition, the Celtic tradition, the Italic tradition, the Iberic tradition, the Hellenic tradition, Hindu tradition, whatever the case is, there are stories and stories and stories like this. And that's what makes it so awesome. Because I believe these stories are true. I believe these stories are real, and I believe these stories are alive. No being in this world or the other world is rooting for me to fail. No being in this world or the other world is rooting for me to fail. Okay, now comes your magic. Your Druid. Alright, so what you're going to do is this is going to help you become more pious. I want you to, number one, find a good sized rock out there. Go find a good sized rock. Alright? Bring it in. And what you're going to put in that rock, right? What you're going to put in that rock are all the things you want to accomplish, all the things you want to believe in to be true, all the very good things, the wholesome things, the whole things, the holy things, the sacred things, the sacrosanct things. I'm going to use that rock with all of them. Looking at it, looking at that rock, holding it in your hand, and putting it all in there, in that rock, right? Put the rock to the side. Then what I want you to do is I want you to take a sheet pan, and if you can do this in any way, shape, or form, try to figure out how you can do this, okay? Take a sheet pan, and what I want you to do is I want you to fill the sheet pan up with water and place it in your freezer, okay? Place it in your freezer so that when you take it out and you crack that sheet pan, the ice doesn't break, okay? One thing you can do is you could spray, believe it or not, you could spray the sheet pan with a little bit of cooking spray, so this way when you take it out, the ice falls right out. It won't congeal with the fat, okay? And then you just sort of twist it a little bit, or you could lay it out for a little bit too and let it warm up. You could do that as well, and then release it. Then go outside, take your sheet of ice, take your rock, remembering what you held in it, remembering how you enchanted it. I want you to take that rock, place the sheet of ice on the ground, and take the rock and slam the rock into the ice, smashing the ice into pieces. Because that ice, which stands for the Isa rune, stands for stagnation. And you want to move forward in your joyfulness, in your holiness, in your piety, and you being pious. I hope that you learned a little bit about piety and dubiety tonight, and how you saw that those 5 steps are actually circular, right? And when you play this back and you write your notes down, you really think about this as a way of growing. Because after all, spring, the vernal equinox, Ostara, Estre, is all about growth. It's all about being in bloom. It's all about piety. It's all about certainty. It's all about beauty and your fullest potential with the gods, with God, with deity. Now for your blessing. Wherever you're at, whenever you're at. May the gods bless you. May the goddesses keep you. May the Fae and the mystical shine their light upon you. And may your ancestors remain with you forever and ever. Girawan. Blessed be Betshegora Arnit East Lemogui Toshefir Toshefir. We'll see you next week, everyone. Serene Sunday. Again, enjoy your week, whatever Sunday you are on, whether it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday, a Thursday or a Friday. It's the end and the beginning. It's spring. May the gods be with you.